Okay, so here we are. Remember, this unit, we're all concerned with functions as lines. So there is a very common form called slope-intercept form of a line, and it's exactly what it says. It's the slope and it's the intercept that tell us, and we are able to graph it and interpret it. So let's go look at what that looks like. This is slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m we know is slope. B is my y-intercept, and you have to memorize it's the y, okay? B is where we're always going to begin. So when we're talking about a real-world situation, it's our starting point, our initial value, our beginning, okay? So there's a couple steps to graph this. First, we graph the y-intercept. That's where we always want to begin. That's why it's a B, okay? And remember, the y-intercept is where x is 0. So whatever that b value is, that's where we go and put a point on the y. Then we use the slope to count a rise and then a run. Now you're going to want a ruler. This is why we said at the beginning of the year to have a ruler so that we could connect the points. So let's look here. I need to first identify what is my slope, what is my y-intercept, then I can graph. So we begin with our b. My b is a positive 1 because it says plus 1. So I'm going to place a point on 1 on the y because that's a positive 1. I'm then going to look at my slope. Remember, my slope is the number that's being multiplied by x. So it's 2/3. That means I am going to rise 2. So I'm going to go up 2. Pause there for a second because now I need to run 3. Since my 3 is positive, I'm going to run to the right 3. And then I place a point right there. Now, 2 points make a line, but 3 points make a straighter line. You might even want to put 4, okay? But then now that I've had, and I still, from that 1 point I did, I go up and over again. I always go up 2, right 3. Then I can connect them, and I just graphed this function. So now I can interpret it in its context. So let's try that again. Here, my y-intercept this time is -2. So I'm going to put a point on y where it's -2. My slope, okay, we're going to take my slope, but we're going to go from where I begin. So that point right there is where I look at this slope. It tells me I'm going to rise 4 because it's a positive 4. Then it tells me I'm going to run 3. And I go to the right 3 and place a point there. So now that I've drawn a new point, I do my slope now from that point. I rise 4 and I run 3. And then I can connect them. Okay? So let's look again. This one's a little different. Notice something here. So it doesn't change. My y-intercept is still -4, and I put a point at -4 on the y. Okay? That there is my beginning. That's where I start from. So I'm going to go down to that point, and I look at my slope. There's something different here. My slope this time is negative. So while this is normally my rise, I actually have to go down 1 because it's a -1. My run is a +2, so I still go to the right 2, and I place my point. I can do that again, and I can keep going and keep going. 3 is a good point for you. 3 or 4 points helps you draw a straight line. Okay? So still same process. I identify my B, that's 7. That is where I'm going to begin. So I put a point at 7. Now if we look, my slope in my problem, the number that's multiplied by the y, is a -3. But remember, every number can be made into a fraction by putting it over 1. So I want you to write, anytime you see a whole number slope, write it over 1. So that's now a -3 over a positive 1. So I'm going to go down 3 and write 1, and I'm going to place my point. I can go down 3 and write 1 again, and place another point. I've got 3 points. I can connect my straight line. So what I want you guys to do is keep practicing. But you might get a problem where they give you the line already graphed and you have to write its equation. Well, you're going to do kind of the reverse of what we just did. Go through and find where it begins. Find its y-intercept. There is that point. What is that y value? That y value is -2. Then you can pick any other point you see. You can count up 1 and write 3, so that slope is a 1/3. I put that together and I get y equals 1/3 x minus 2. Let's go to our next one. Always start with your y-intercept. There's that point. There's that point the graph touches the y-axis. So I am at 7. This time I'm going down and right. So my slope should be a negative, and if you look at the line, it's a negative direction. You got to stop and check. The actual graph drawn, the line there, is going down. It has a downward slope, which means it's a negative. So I should have -5/2. When I put this together in an equation, I get y equals -5/2 x plus 7. So don't panic. We went through this kind of fast. There's other problems there for you to practice, and we're going to practice it. But we need you to remember what M is and what B is, and then we can apply this.